Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson. Texas Tech opened the season with a 67-7 victory over Arkansas Pine Bluff last week at home. They stay home at the Jones as part of the three-game homestand for non-conference to open the season. They have Kent State 11 a.m. Saturday at the Jones, and Tech is favored by 48.5 points. So a lot of the same as last week against Arkansas Pine Bluff. I mean, where Tech was favored by 50 something, 54, I think it was. This is a game where Tech is heavily favored. You hope there aren't a lot of injuries. You hope they, trounce Kent State like they did Arkansas Pine Bluff, where the game was never in doubt. All that stuff. But with it being game week and there being so much excitement about the season starting, we received a lot of questions from inside the Red Raider subscribers. So much so, in fact, that we're doing two mailbags. I have this mailbag with 7 questions. We'll have a bonus mailbag answering 7 more later on tonight. But yeah, great questions. So I'm going to dive right into them. First one comes from Tech Freak, who asks, "How confident are you in Tech's kicking game? Does Tech need another kicking competition like they had under Mike Leach when a fan went down from the stands and forgot his name now? Wow. Wow. How did I forget his name? Anyways, y'all know who I'm talking about, Red Raider fans out there. All right. But in terms of answering your question, I'm not as worried as I was going back in the spring and the start of fall camp, and that's because of Stone Harrington. He's always had a big leg, but under special teams coordinator Kenny Perry's tutelage over the last couple of years, he's really improved, with his accuracy and, just continuing to do things in a consistent way. Most notably, make his kicks, right? We won't know about how he handles pressure and all that in a game until he gets to it. He hasn't gotten to it yet. That being said, I think Stone Harrington has clearly been the better kicker than Upton Bellenfant. Look, Upton Bellenfant is a guy who went to Alabama out of high school because he was one of the top kickers in the country. He sat behind one of the best kickers in the country. So he transferred to Buffalo, had a very good season last year. But look, he struggled in the spring. He struggled in the spring game, and he missed an extra point in the opener last weekend. So to me, Harrington is the leader, without a doubt, unquestioned leader in that kicking competition. But I haven't heard that it's been, um, put to bed. Now Harrington has been named the starter for sure. So I think they're going to keep on with that kicking competition. There's also Ian Hershey, who is a late addition in the spring. He's really the backup punter more than anything, but he's been a consistent kicker when given the opportunity in fall camp. So he just doesn't have quite the leg that Stone or Upton have in terms of like 50 plus and stuff like that. So I, again, to wrap a nice bow around this whole question, I am a little concerned, but not as concerned as I was in spring or at the start of fall camp. Elder Texan 79 wants to know who will see the most playing time at a guard position after Christian Anderson. Yeah, I think if you're asking who his backup is going to be, like a primary ball handler, point guard type, Jalen Petty, who committed, I don't know, in the last month or so. 4-star recruit. I know he's a true freshman, but they're not asking him to come in and start. He was a Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Washington, averaged 28.6 rebounds and 6 assists as a senior last year in high school. So 6-foot dude, smaller guy, shifty, dart, more of a scoring point guard, a darty kind of dude, like really quick, change of directions kind. Super athletic though, and highly skilled. So I like Petty. It was a really nice late addition for Texas Tech, and that's who I expect to be the backup point guard. You got Atwell, Bryant, some other guys in there, but they're not really primary ball handler types. I really think it's going to be Anderson and then Petty. LB Mans wants to know, what are the chances Tech starting quarterback misses games this year due to injury? That's a good question. Got that scare in the first week. That was really the only fly in the ointment. Michael Dingle, the safety, went down as well. I hate to see that, but Bear Morton taking that shot to his knee as Cam Dickey missed his block, his assignment, trying to kind of gave the blitzing defender off the edge, kind of a nudge right into Barron's knee. which hyperextended. Looks like he's going to start. McGuire said on his radio show Thursday night. He told me when I asked him in the press conference Monday that day to day they felt good, nothing serious, all that. But on Thursday on his radio show, he said that Barron will start. So that's good news for the whole rhythm thing. That's something McGuire mentioned Monday in his presser, that they want to keep the rhythm going with Mac and Barron. So I like that. Hopefully, he plays around a half. Same scenario as last week against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Will comes in, and then Mitch Griffiths. Raider Fan 01 says, I know it's hard to judge based on the level of competition last Saturday, but who surprised you the most? Yeah, first off, I'm surprised on the daily by life and just things in general sports, but I try not to be surprised by Texas Tech. I really try and know what to expect. And I feel like that's what we saw. I mean, I expected Tech to roll. I expected the defensive front to dominate. I expected the offensive line to dominate in the running game, and it did. I'd say, again, to answer your question, the biggest surprises, Bryson Jones, freshman receivers Bryson Jones and Layton Stone catching touchdown passes. I mean, I was expecting most of the roster to play, but just the fact that both of them caught touchdowns was exciting. Bryce Ramirez, it's an opportunity to give him some love. Co-lead for leader for tackles in the opening game, also got a sack. A guy who's come back from so much adversity. First off, just having to do like a walk-on tryout, made the team captain, on scholarship, blows up his leg, comes back from that, has an infection in the leg, comes back from that, senior captain, B-stud, and I can't say I'm surprised that he had a good game, but being a veteran team captain and all that, but as a backup, leading the team in tackles, having a sack, I just wanted to take this opportunity to give Bryce Ramirez some love. OBX Raider wants to know, which Big 12 teams have surprised you so far? Yeah, that's a good question. I thought TCU's victory over North Carolina, just blowing them out, was highly impressive. Utah, who, of course, Tech's playing to open Big 12 play in a couple weeks. Them crushing UCLA. I know UCLA's down, but still, that was a really nice victory for them. Iowa State, not this last week, although they crushed a South Dakota team, which is a good FCS team, a week after opening the season by beating Kansas State in Ireland. I mean, that's a really good. I can't say it's surprising, but Iowa State's had some slow starts in years past, only to have a really good season. Looks like they got the slow start out of the way and off to a really good start. The Cyclones are definitely ones to watch in the Big 12. Houston shut out Stephen F. Austin. I think it was 27-0, so that's good for the Cougars. I can't say UCF. Jacksonville State's pretty good. I think I on the radio actually picked Jacksonville State to win that game, so at least they got a win. I think 12 of the 16 teams are still undefeated in the Big 12. Not a lot of tough competition so far, but still, it's a good start from the conference. Nas Raider wants to know, he says, probably hard to answer since it was a weather delay and shortened game, but how was the game presentation in terms of how loud it was, the ads and music, etc.? Did those in charge listen to any complaints about presentation last year and make any adjustments? Yeah, I really do think they did. I even during the game said something to Jill, like, hey, there's no music blaring. You can hear the band. You can hear the crowd, murmur, which I like in an atmosphere like that. I thought it was better. I mean, look, there was rap, which I don't mind. I like rap. There was loud music played, but it wasn't so overbearing where you feel like you weren't having the collegiate experience. You heard the going band, you heard the crowd. I thought it was a great atmosphere. I hate that we didn't get to see that drone show they were talking about because of the weather, but wasn't meant to be. You can't control the weather. But no, overall, the stadium looks beautiful. The Jones was packed. It was Arkansas Pine Bluff. The whole campus right around there looks great. I walk all right. My radio show's on University at that Red River Outfitter just across from the Jones, but I walk to the other side of the Jones to go in the media entrance and up the elevator, press box, and all that. So I go back and forth before and after the game. And the place, it's amazing how much has changed. I mean, I always loved it. Don't get me wrong, but the atmosphere and just facilities and campus and presentation, everything was gorgeous. And I do think they listened to some of the complaints in terms of let the game breathe a little bit. You don't have to blare. Now, look, you got to pay bills. I get that. I mean, we pay bills on Inside the Red Raiders. Red Raider Outfitters is a sponsor of this YouTube channel. So, I mean, I completely understand. But I feel like to overwhelm at the price, at the expense of the fan experience, is a mistake. And I definitely did not feel like that in the opener. It was a great presentation. It was a lot of fun, and you didn't hear a lot of complaints coming out of it like you did last year. All right, final questions in the first mailbag. Again, there'll be a bonus mailbag, but the final question comes from Syntax, who says, "What kind of non-conference schedule would you like to see? Super creamy cupcake, or at least one top 90 team?" Um, you know what? Like, all right, I'd rather Tech play in exciting games, meaningful games against quality competition overall, but also I'd rather Tech have a really good record at the end of the season and try and play the game a little bit. Like you see the SEC play the game by playing games against inferior competition later in the season, as opposed to just at the beginning, and it kind of gives them a break, almost a bye, especially late because a lot of these smaller schools or deemed inferior schools, the reason why they're inferior, really, most of all, is not just talent at the starting positions, but in the depth. And so later in the season, that depth, attrition has hit home. That depth's really taken or lack of depth taken a toll, and it's an easier game later in the season. Now, that's not what this is. It's not what we're talking about with this non-conference, but at least Tech is playing 7 games at home. Obviously, is good both monetarily, but then just from a competitive standpoint, that's good. More than half of your games are at home, and the Jones is tough to play, and it's an easier non-conference. So I'd rather, like at the end of the season, if you've beaten Kansas State and Utah and BYU, no one's going to look back and be like, whoa, 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 but they only played Arkansas Bluff and Kent State their first 2 weeks. Like, we shouldn't count those wins. Nobody's going to say that. So I personally would rather take the competitive advantage of playing a cream puff schedule, non-conference schedule, because you're going to play good teams in the Big 12. You're going to have enough adversity hit. I prefer this. I was excited for the opportunity for a special season for Texas Tech and everything lining up, including the schedule. But like I said, that's going to do it for the first edition of the Insider Mailbag this week. There'll be another one posted. Depending on when you're seeing this, it might already be posted, but it will be posted Friday night. So 7 more questions answered from Inside the Red Raider subscribers. But I'm looking forward to another game at the Jones Saturday morning. But for now, I want to thank you for watching.